Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jae Pizarro, the brand Brain One on Instagram. I'm your host of the Ringside Culture podcast, and I am filled with gratitude for two big things, an incredible WrestleMania weekend and a really, really solid Raw after Mania. I had to take a second. I had to take some time, gather my thoughts, gather my emotions. Sunday couldn't do it because I was still getting over Saturday. Monday morning couldn't do it because I was still getting over Sunday. And today I just had to take a second after watching last night's Monday Night Raw because, man, the WWE has given us all of their effort. So I'm really excited. And secondly, you guys are listening, apparently. I'm really excited. Numbers came back from the first few episodes, and a lot of you guys are really tuning in, apparently, and I'm excited. It's motivating. It's got me wanting to put these episodes together quicker, better, reach out with feedback, let me know how I can get better, how I can improve. I can't overstate enough how cool it is to see that people are actually listening, apparently, and hopefully enjoying what I have to offer. So follow us on Instagram at Ringside Culture Podcast. We basically just throw out as much cool news and information as we can see on social media. Post things that are cool. We want to start a conversation. It's really kind of personal to me, just my way of kind of putting in somewhere all the things I find cool and think about professional wrestling as I watch as a fan. Not affiliated, obviously, with any of the promotions or anything. You don't have any. I have a few friends in that field from other jobs that I've been in and stuff like that, especially over in TNA. But it's a cool thing to be. So today, what we're going to get into real quick is I'm going to, on this discussion, go over night one, night two, thoughts, feelings. I know it's going to be a long conversation, but I'm excited to have it because I've been holding it in and really thinking about everything. Night one, you tell me. I believe personally that I enjoyed night one a bit more than night two, just overall. But it's tough when it comes to that main event on night two. It was an absolute wonderful thing to see. But starting out night one, they opened up with Miss Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. And rumor has it Becky Lynch was running 102 fever, running strep throat. Rhea Ripley was obviously in some shape or form compromised because she had been seen and been performing with that wrist brace for weeks leading up to Mania. And I'm willing to bet it was probably not at 100%. Do I think the match was as good as they could have given us? Absolutely not. It was a great match, a really great match. I think they told a really awesome story. The intensity was insane. It's a tough bar when you want to go and compare it to something like a Rhea and a Charlotte from last year that absolutely stole the show and actually took the Slammy for match of the year, and well deserved, just based on what we saw. So it was a killer match. Rhea Ripley retaining her World Heavyweight Championship. It's going to be interesting, I think, for Becky to see where she goes from here. Again, rumor mill going is that she has not re-signed her contract. I don't foresee her in any way, shape, or form going anywhere else. She doesn't seem to be in a position within that company to go anywhere else, and I feel like she may have even commented a couple of times before that there's no real realm of possibility where she would go anywhere else. She's a WWE girl through and through. But it is very possible that Ro may be getting to that age where she requires a little bit more dedicated attention than what she gets when they're on the road. And she could be taking some time off. I mean, her character has had a tough go the last year or two. Last year, especially with Ripley on top and her really having a stranglehold on the women's division there on Monday Night Raw. And just not really, Becky really just hasn't really hit like the man should. And so with this performance, not only really just kudos to her for giving us the show that she gave, because it was phenomenal. If you wouldn't have told me that she was ill in any way, I would have probably had the same opinion of the match, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you that she was sick or slow or not crispy or anything like that. It was a phenomenal match, but was not able to do enough to keep the title. More interesting, I think, than Rhea Ripley coming out of that match. I'd be interested to see what version of Becky Lynch we get on the other side of this. And spoiler alert for those with relation to Monday Night Raw, she did not make an appearance on Monday Night Raw. So Rhea Ripley did, and so that's one way to think. She may very well be taking some time to herself, and who knows what we'll see from there. I don't remember off the top of my head the order of these matches, so I'm just kind of going to run through the matches. I just know that these two women opened the show and killed it. Energy, and it was just a really good way to start WrestleMania. Hell of a way to start WrestleMania with a world title match. But Rey and Rey and Andrade, originally supposed to be Dragon Lee. There's one really cool factor, I think, for WrestleMania to give us a WrestleMania moment for Andrade. Santos Escobar, Dominic Mysterio looked great in the match. I think all four of them did really. It was a really fun match to watch. I think the involvement from the Philadelphia Eagles players was a neat touch. They were big, believable guys. They had mentioned in interviews that they did a little training ahead of time, so it wasn't kind of random. They did put in a little work to make sure that came out really good, and it did. It came up really, really good. I believe that, like I've said in the previous episode, I believe the payoff, the proper payoff for this Rey Mysterio Dominic situation is a hair versus mask. I think the mullet is there, and it's asking to be cut. And Rey Mysterio, Santos, all these guys, they are adamant on removing or discrediting or disrespecting the mask of Rey Mysterio. So the only logical place this should go in any way, which I believe will be the day that Dominic goes over on his dad, it will be a hair versus mask, and that will be at that point the end for a while of the on-screen character for Rey Mysterio. Which pains me as a fan. My top two favorite wrestlers of all time are Rey Mysterio and Shawn Michaels. So, having lost Shawn Michaels as an in-ring competitor quite a bit away from now, it was always really cool to me to have that direct connection to my childhood. It was always a really cool thing for me to get some of this stuff to plug in directly with my childhood. How important Rey Mysterio was for my upbringing as a wrestling fan, and the things that he would do in the ring. They were the bar, and those who he competed against as well. I was a bit of a WCW guy back in that time. And for me, what the cruiserweights were doing, what him and Psychosis were doing in ECW, what him and Eddie and Dean Malenko and Hoovy were doing in WCW was the bar for what wrestling was. Yeah, it was cool to see the big guys and the characters and the body slamming, but when it came to real quality wrestling, oh boy, it was Rey Mysterio and his co-workers in that division. They were the bar. Always have been. So it's going to be sad to kind of see if my prediction comes true and we get that match. I believe that Dominic would go over, Rey would lose the mask, Dominic would go on to the mega heat of having his mullet and having his father's mask, and likely using it as some sort of prop moving forward until the time comes where there's a redemption story. So that was that. I enjoyed Rey Mysterio and Andrade's performance in that match, and how we were able to get all of that stuff locked in. Andrade is just an absolute beast in the ring. I enjoy watching him wrestle so much. So it was good to see him on the grand stage after coming back to the company from AEW and really being misused over there, in my opinion. And listen, I'll touch on this right now because I believe he's really the only one on the card, with the exception of a Jade Cargill, who I will put in a similar conversation with them about in regards to having having been misused in AEW. I mean, there's something to be said for the system, the professionals that are in place in a place like an AEW of a WWE versus AEW. The legends that are in place to teach, prepare, the time that is taken to properly develop and mold WWE superstars, and even when they're on the main roster, then guys like Michael P.S. Hayes and Bobby Roode being there and used consistently to try to make certain that superstars look good, feel good on screen, and deliver at the highest level. And I don't really feel as though AEW has that infrastructure in place. They don't look to be wanting to put that kind of infrastructure in place. And so you get what you get. You do get certain talent like Andrade, who they didn't know what to do with him really. And someone like Jade Cargo, who really didn't have a direction, even though she was clearly head and shoulders above the rest as far as star caliber. So now seeing Andrade, and I'll talk about them next, Jade Cargo, getting the chance to shine properly in a well-developed, supportive environment, professional environment, and the company investing in the both of them. It's going to be really cool to see what happens with the two of them this year. After obviously Cody Rhodes getting the star treatment, the mega star treatment, and becoming the face of the company after his time in AEW. So Bianca Belair and Naomi Cargo took on Damage Control, and Damage Control did not make it happen, did not hold up their end of the bargain for WrestleMania Night 1. They fell relatively easily to the big three that they call themselves. Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargo. Jade Cargo and the girls all looked like absolute stars. Their entrance was incredible. They looked like freaking superheroes or action figures. It was stupid good. The action from both sides was really, really good. But it really it looked so off balance visually. Impressive physical specimens, including Naomi, who is obviously very fit as well. And seeing them in the ring with the much more petite framed trio of Damage Control. And that would be really my only downside to this whole process, is just the understanding that, wow, I've always had this conversation with my girlfriend. I believe that there should be, although it's a touchy subject, a weight class separation in the WWE. That's the one thing in the women's division that kind of makes it difficult to be believable. For instance, although I absolutely loved it, there was an angle between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, where Liv Morgan did look absolutely phenomenal in the angle. But when you look at it logically, Liv Morgan going over on Rhea Ripley doesn't feel believable no matter how crazy she gets, because any given moment, Rhea should be able to overpower her and take her lights out, put her lights out. So I really do feel like if there was an ability to separate the roster to where the talent that are larger frame, tall, muscular, and powerful have their goals, and the smaller girls like a Casey Catanzaro or a Candice LeRae, who are much smaller, get their ability to shine and perform at their style, at their level, without being overpowered in every match. So obviously, the big three we're going to go over in this match, and it is the right call. But they look like magic. Coming down to the ring, WrestleMania is where they belong, and I'm glad they got an opportunity to show up there. Ladder match, we got the much rumored split of the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. In that split of the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, I really would have liked to have seen Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate be the ones to get the SmackDown tag team titles. I believe the two of them have more to offer a tag team division than Grayson and Waller do. However, I'm not opposed to them being the hungry challengers, continuing their climb, since they are technically the newest addition to the division, although they had been wrestling for years together before SmackDown. But I really thought the two of them were in line for a run with the SmackDown tag team titles or Raw tag team titles. I do believe R-Truth and Miz, being one of the two teams that walked out with gold, is the right call. The two of them are absolute legends, first ballot Hall of Famers whenever the time comes. And R-Truth has been so over, so funny, and so entertaining. And I think the two of them have an unmistakable chemistry that didn't really get the chance to breathe their first run. So now with the Paul Levesque era, whereas Cody calls it the Renaissance era, I think R-Truth and Miz are going to be able to breathe and grow and give us the kind of character team that they wanted to originally, and it's going to be a fun ride. I mean, last night on Raw was brilliant. I really enjoyed their stuff last night. So the two of them going, the spots were crazy. Damian Priest and Finn Balor. The moment I saw that they did not come out of this match, I think it spoiled what would happen either night 1, night 2 with Damian Priest, which of course Damian Priest eventually cashed in his Money in the Bank on night 2 to become the World Heavyweight Champion. It's an insane accomplishment. First Puerto Rican in 50 years. Also, obviously, continuing to give representation to the Latino community after Seth Rollins was also Latino. So it's really cool to see the place that our people are in, and specifically Damian Priest as a Puerto Rican after 50 years to have the opportunity to be world champion. It's a really important representation is a phenomenal aspect in the growth of society. People being able to see people that look like them, sound like them, are like them, doing the things that they want to do one day, showing them that it's possible. But I think Austin, Grace, and Waller are entertaining as well. They're obviously extremely gifted in the ring. I believe that the tag team title should be with real tag team title. I'm really consider them a real tag team. They do not have each other's back. So it's not the most supportive relationship, I would say. But it is what it is. They are now SmackDown Tag Team Champions. The match was amazing. Like I said, the spots, the DDT through the table, JD McDonough's interference in his spot through the table, as well as Grayson Waller getting put through a ladder, were just huge, big pop WrestleMania moments. Man, Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Hot take. I was kind of disappointed by this match. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I thought the drama of it all was well played, although predictable, but it just felt like it was missing something. I don't know if the crowd had a little fatigue or they just prefer to see the Usos. I'm someone who prefers to see the Usos as a tag team. They just have a tag team chemistry. And so I think the fact that they have that chemistry as a team, I think for me worked against them in a match one-on-one because they are so similar, have such similar styles and everything like that. So I don't think that they gave us 100% of what they're capable of. Both of them can have better matches with other people, which is, I think, how I felt. This is, for neither of them was it the best match that they can put on. I've seen better matches from both of them. So I think that makes it a little bit disappointing. But the story they told was fantastic. It was really awesome of them to get the opportunity to tell that story on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania 40. Brother versus brother for the third time ever in history. It's always funny when people say stuff like that because, it's third. Who cares? Unless they were the first. It doesn't really matter, but it's just one of those things that people point out. What they were the first twins to face each other, which is kind of cool, right? For me, that match of the night, Gunther versus Sammy for the Intercontinental Championship, I did not, under any circumstances, expect or would have believed any real argument for Sami Zayn dethroning Gunther. I had Gunther walking out to face Chad, walking out to defeat Chad, walking out to face Chad in Berlin. I had him walking in as the champion to Berlin. That, for me, tells me that the WWE, I would say, has plans for Gunther in the world title picture, although we got some indication on Monday Night Raw that Gunther still has his eyes set on Sami Zayn. It's very possible he could reclaim it, or they could have their rematch in a place like that. But it would just be very interesting to see how they use Gunther moving forward, considering the direction the company's going and the events that they have coming up. The match was spectacular. Gunther, for me, is the perfect wrestler. He can't have a bad match. Sami Zayn really stepped it up. We got a hybrid generico Sami Zayn performance. He brought back the finisher that he used, or signature that he used as an Generico, to get the 1-2-3, or set him up for the 1-2-3 with Brainbuster on the top turnbuckle. It was unexpected. The neat thing about this is, for me, the story told where Gunther's ego and his lack of focus, which is the one thing that Chad Gable instilled in Sammy that Gunther had, was that Gunther is focused, laser focused, and Sammy needed to be laser focused as well. And in the match, Gunther took his eye off the ball. There was multiple occasions where we thought Sammy was dead. Sammy was out for a 10 count, if we really had to go there. But Gunther was adamant about rubbing it in Sammy's wife's face and playing up the fact that Sammy is beneath him. And he missed opportunities to put this away, and he cost himself his own legacy in this regard. So 666 days as Intercontinental Champion, still the number one reign in history. For me, much more significant than Roman Reigns' reign, simply because he did reach number one. At the end of the day, Roman Reigns is the fourth best. And who cares about fourth place, right? But obviously the idea with the Roman Reigns is that it does put him in the conversation with three of the absolute all-time greats in Hulk Hogan, Bob Backlund, and Bruno Sammartino, which are the absolute mecca of sports entertainers and professional wrestlers. So that match, Gunther and Sammy, for me, was match of the night. I believe it was way too entertaining not to give them that space. Because even the main event tag team match, The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, was nowhere near, for me, as entertaining as that match. But that's just a personal taste of mine. I'm a big Gunther and Sammy mark, so don't mind me. Now on to the main event, though. This was expected. I did not. The selfish fan in me wanted Bloodline Wolves. If I'm the other one out here who felt that way, then I'm a terrible person. But I wanted all the fuckery. I wanted all the mess. I wanted all the bells and whistles and everything they can throw. I wanted the most overbooked match in WWE history as the main event of night 2. And so the match itself, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson looked like a damn stud. The entrances were insane. The Rock's entrance was really cool with the final boss setup. Cody and Seth Rollins came out, had a solid match. And for me, night 1's match felt more like a Bloodline Rules match than night 2. And I think that had a lot to do with The Rock's involvement in the match. The Rock, I was not expecting The Rock getting the pin on Cody. I really felt like Seth Rollins was the fall guy in this scenario. However, it is what best could set up what we got night 2. Night 2, for me, that match in Bloodline Rules, although it did not get anywhere near as infuriating as night 1, with The Rock obviously telling the referee if he counts either the 10 count or the pinfall count, he's going to fire him. So essentially, there was no possible way that Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins were going to win that match, because the referee had been instructed not to count for penalty of losing his job. I think the drama of it all, the fact that it was a straightforward tag team with no outside interference, but with a clear bending of the rules in the favor of the Bloodline, was interesting. And I think, in my opinion, the fact that Roman Reigns was not able to assert the same kind of dominance and throw his weight around the way that The Rock did on night 1 is going to factor into the Roman Reigns Rock story. I think there was some footage of Roman and Rock's exit after the main event of night 2 that would suggest, at least visually, that there was a level of disappointment in the Rock as he looked at Roman just walk up the ramp defeated. I believe the Rock probably as a character intended to interrupt and assert his dominance and his authority even past the victory from Cody Rhodes. And I think seeing Roman Reigns walk up the ramp and leave it at that was something that did not sit well with the Rock. And oh man, I'm telling you, what a night. What a way to build anticipation for night 2. If you're looking to convince anybody why professional wrestling is so cool, why it's at its peak, all you had to do is show them a sold out lake in Philadelphia, night 1 of WrestleMania. I mean, it was amazing. So we're going to come up and we're going to go over night 2 in our next episode. That should be out pretty quickly. I just didn't want to make these too long for you guys. But I appreciate you guys listening along. This has been the Ringside Culture Podcast. My name is Jay. Follow me on Instagram, the brand Brain1, and follow us as a podcast on Instagram at Ringside Culture Podcast on Instagram as well. We have our YouTube channel, so if you want to watch us on YouTube, you're not watching us now via video on your Spotify, then you can catch us on YouTube as well at Ringside Podcast. All right. But till the next time, take care, y'all.